we were talking about movies, and so Peter Jackson's doing something no one else has ever done before. He's shooting at double the frame rate, and some of the test footage that I think he showed at one of the conventions got a lot of flack or criticism because I think it looked hyper real, right? Because we're not used to seeing things at that high frame rate. What do you think? I mean, how do you think audiences are going to react to that?
Yeah, so that was at a show in Vegas called CinemaCon, which I was at.
Yeah.
And it was, it was a great week for me because effectively almost every movie that they're premiering and showing at CinemaCon, other than the animation movies, are shot on Epics. Almost all of them. Yeah. Right. So it was a good week. It was a good week. A lot of people wanted to say hi, and that was a fun experience. But they set up a huge screen inside the Caesar's Palace, and they screened all kinds of material. They screened. Tom Cruise movie called Oblivion that's using Epics. They screened some of Great Gatsby using Epics. They screened Hobbit, some of Hobbit. And this is early stuff, not finished. Yeah. You know, I mean, it's for the exhibitor industry. It's to get them excited about what's coming. And the directors do a little kind of intro thing. It's quite cool. It's a very insider sort of convention. But they did show a section of material at 48 frames a second. And you know what's intriguing about it is it doesn't look like a movie that you and I grew up with, because the temporal rate, when you increase the temporal rate, everything gets more real. So you have to sort of think about strategically what's going on. The sort of gut reaction is it looks like live TV or some sort of sporting event or something that's not a movie, right? But you have to kind of step back from that initial reaction and think about who are the two probably most prolific, if you could only pick two guys that are the most successful movie makers of our generation. Of course, there's hundreds and they're mostly using these cameras. But if you could just pick a couple, well, probably Peter Jackson would be a good one to pick, and James Cameron would be another one to pick, right? They are both firmly entrenched and believing that 24-frame acquisition has run its course, has delivered what it can. And it's just designed around legacy challenges of being able to shoot and project motion picture film for the last 70 years or so, which doesn't exist anymore. These cameras can shoot at much higher frame rates, and modern projectors, including the projector that we're building, can deliver at much higher frame rates. So the technology part is beaten, right? So now it's just a creative choice. And if you think about how smart these guys are and how they're making movies for a modern audience, they can say, you know what? We have the ability to throw away all this legacy thinking. And if we can create motion picture entertainment that looks so real that you actually feel like you're there.
It's just a lot more immersive, isn't it? I mean,
that there's no sort of separation of it's this kind of thing, oh, it's a movie, right? You can get yourself into the story, but you don't actually feel like it's happening right in front of your eyes. Well, in this case, as you watch it, and a lot of people haven't seen enough of it to really understand it, right? You have to let yourself be in this environment for long enough to let your brain readjust.
Yeah, it's still a knee-jerk.
And establish the fact that this is a whole new way to watch a movie.
But is that what it takes? I mean, does it take these kind of revolutionary? So, I mean, if you look at what Apple's doing with the Retina displays, right? They're leaps ahead of any other notebook manufacturer. But yet, of course, the industry is yet to catch up. You visit websites; they look kind of soft. A lot of video looks kind of soft.
Well, I mean,
but does it take that push?
Sure. It takes people with the guts and the balls to just say, it's time for the next thing. And there's always going to be some pushback on the next thing, right? But if you look at what Cameron's doing and what Peter Jackson is doing for their movie making experience, they know who their target audience is. It's not people that are in their late 40s or late 30s. It's for teenagers, right? Now, everyone, of course, will see the movie, but their primary target audience are not kids that spend all day long watching movies. They're kids that spend all day long playing video games. So they're already used to this high temporal experience, right? So for them, watching a traditional movie is like for us watching black and white television. It's old-fashioned. Doesn't mean it's not entertaining, but it's old-fashioned. They're used to things coming at them much faster with much higher image fidelity and image quality than a movie experience, right? So that's what Peter and Jim Cameron are tapping into, this kind of mindset of the youth, which then, of course, will translate to everyone, I think. So I think you've got to give it you've got to let it run its course, which will be fairly short, I think.
Yeah.
And my prediction is it'll be much more successful than anybody really realizes. For the old guys like me, guess what? You can watch it at the high frame rate, and you can watch it at the normal frame rate too, because they'll just take every other frame, and it'll look like a normal movie. So if for whatever reason we don't like it, there'll be that choice too. But I'm a fairly, even, you know, for a guy who's not 16 anymore, I think like a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about what these guys are doing, because for me it's all about, you know, looking into the crystal ball and seeing what's next.
What's next?
Which, you know, is of course what we do all the time. So
beautiful. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Pleasure.
Yep.